Good evening, everyone. Kalla here. Welcome to my live stream. Glad you could make it today. So today is more Hakuouki, Chronicles of Wind and Blossom version. Last time we got into some battles. Heisuke and Okita got hurt. We met some people who will be important later. Chat is broken, really? Let's... okay. I thought I'd done that right. Boop. No, that's not working. Ah, that would be why. Okay. There we go. It's fixed it. Where was I? We recruited more people. And for that reason, Heisuke is currently in Edo and not anywhere near us. Boo. Also, we, something's happened tonight. The compound's in quite an uproar because Sanan has taken that medicine. Which means that things could go horribly wrong, and we were told not to be on our own, so we've come to hang out with Saito, if I recall correctly. Anyway, hello Nick, hello Drag, how are you doing? Time to find out how wrong it went. Will Sanan survive? Will Sanan's mind survive? Winds chilled the dark courtyard. The air was still, and the whole place was silent. The chaos of the common room seemed like a dream. Saito stood in a daze, watching the stars shiver in the distance.
中に戻っていた方がいいのではないか。ここは冷えるぞ。
I don't know very much about coding drag, but I imagine that happens a lot. You're like, why is this doing that? And I also imagine it takes a lot of work to fix. I once... Actually, I do have a sort of an anecdote for things you did that shouldn't be doing what they're doing. In electronics class, I once wired up what should have been an up counter, that for some reason counted down. And the teacher had no idea why it was doing that, because I'd wired it up correctly. I'm fine. I'm not cold. Saito stared at me, his expression blank, as if contemplating something. Eventually, though, he turned his gaze back to the sky.
剣に生きる者にとって斧が腕は生きる意味そのもの。
How am I? Not too bad. I think, Drag, you were right yesterday that I have hay fever, because it definitely felt an awful lot more like hay fever this morning. I went and bought hay fever medicine and I'm feeling a bit better, so...
それを失ってしまえば 自ら命を絶つのもまた道理か。
Oh yeah, that was it. Sanan had taken the medicine and then tried to kill himself. Which, isn't gonna work very well. Given that he turned himself into a Fury, is it? I saw Saito's breath fog in the cold night air as he muttered to himself.
あの薬に手を出すほど追い詰められているとは思わなかった。今まで我々が見ていたのは、あくまでも三男さんの一部に過ぎなかったということだろうな。
Saito wasn't the best at expressing how he felt, but it was clear his words were tinged with pain. He didn't show it as acutely as the other captains, but it was there nonetheless. He was deeply remorseful for not being able to stop Sanan. What's going to happen to him? Silence fell. I was angry at myself for asking such a question. There was no way for Saito to know the answer. Soon, though, he quietly responded.
新選組の総長が狂ったことが公になるくらいなら、三男さんには死んでもらった方がいいだろうな。
What? My voice cracked, but Saito scarcely blinked. Could you live with that, Saito? If you were to be given orders to assist with Sanan's beheading?
俺の解釈ならば、さして苦しませることなく、三男さんをあの世へ送ることができる。そうせねばならぬのなら、誰であろうと切る。それだけの話だ。
A chill grazed my spine, but not from the night air. I couldn't believe it. Still, this was surely what it meant to be a Shinsengumi warrior. One day, he might be called upon to kill me as well. He would do it at any time, were it asked of him. I again realized just how expendable I was.
だが、できるなら仲間は殺したくない。あれは寝覚めの悪いものだ。
The night I'd met Saito, I'd watched him kill a man whom he may have known without blinking. I'd thought him cold at the time, but I realized now how much pain he must have been in. How could he not be? They had all come to Kyoto sharing the same ambition. Just then, I sensed someone approaching us. I turned around, startled.
さっきから広間の方が騒がしいが、何かあったのか?
Ah, yes, one of the people that we're supposed to be keeping far away from this. It was Miki.
まだ起きていたのか。
あれだけ騒がれてのんきに寝てられると思うのか? で、何があった? 他の連中にも聞いてみたが、要領を得ない答えしか返ってこなくてな。
Yeah, the captain of one of the divisions. But he's also one of the new guys, and he's the brother of the new strategy guy who we don't like. I'm not certain if we like this guy or not. Kondo made sure to tell us to keep Ito and his gang from finding out what happened tonight. How are we supposed to play it off? Panicking, I looked at Saito.
今の段階ではあんたに明かすことはできぬ。
おお、幹部の俺にもか。
俺とて事態を完全に把握しているわけではない。
Saito's going to play this off with, I don't know what's going on either.
今の状況を下手に明かしてもいらぬ誤解を招くだけだ。明日になれば局長や副長が改めて説明の場を設けてくださるはずだ。それまで待て。
なるほど。
Miki shrugged at his answer and shuffled off without saying another word. Was that all right? Do you think Miki was satisfied with that?
そこまで愚鈍ではあるまい。かの者は伊藤さんの実弟だからな。
I thought so.
無用な騒ぎを起こしたがるたちだと思える。気は許さぬ方がいいだろうが、無用な警戒もまたいらぬはずだ。
Mito's reserved nature made it difficult for people to observe him. Yet, he seemed to be as unexpectedly astute when watching others.
何にせよ今は三男さんの無事を祈るだけだ。
You're right. We fell silent and looked up to the winter sky filled with stars. And so, the long night came to an end. The captains of the Shinsengumi gathered in the common room.
みんな安心してくれ。峠は越えたようだよ。
The room collectively breathed a sigh of relief.
で、どうなんだ三男さんの様子は。
今はまだ寝ている。静かなものだよ。
今までの大使たちみてえになっちまってるのか、それとも。
simply shook his head.
確かなことは目を覚ますまでわからんね。見た目は昨日までと変わらないんだが。
Suddenly the door slid open. Also, Drag, not all of the captains. All of the captains who know about the serum, so not including Miki. And not including... what was the name of the other guy who lived... The other guy who's a captain who lives in the other building? No, I don't remember. Everyone in this room is people who know about the serum. Basically. And now we can't talk about it anymore. Ito. Ito walked in.
おはようございます、皆さん。ご機嫌いかがかしら？
伊藤さん。
Exactly, Sana.
うげとはご挨拶ですのね。皆さん、お顔の色が優れない様子ですけど。
そりゃ朝っぱらからあんたの顔見たせいに決まってるだろうが。
まあ、長倉くんったら冗談がお上手ですこと。
Ito dismissed Nagakura's snide remark and turned to face the standing warriors.
皆さんの顔色がよろしくないのは、もしかして 昨晩の騒ぎと関わりがあるのかし
あ、いや、その、だな。
Ito, you didn't give us enough time to to get our story straight. Kondo's eyes desperately darted around the room as if looking for someone to offer an excuse.
よし、ごまかせさの。
あ、俺か実は昨日
大根役者は出しゃばらないでくれるかな。そういうのだったらもっと得意な人がいるじゃない。
Nokita turned to Saito expectantly, and the latter spoke up at once.
伊藤参謀がお察しの通り、昨晩豚書内にて事件が発生しました。
事件ですって。
はい。ですが我々もまだ全容を把握できてはいない状況です。
Ah, still going with, I don't really have a clue what's going on.
今の時点での説明は余計な誤解を招くばかりかと。
That's an excuse you just have ready on command, isn't it, Saito? It's also a good one.
ですので今夜にでも場を設け、詳しくお伝えさせていただきたく存じます。
そういうことですね。事情は分かりましたよ。今夜のお呼ばれ、心待ちにしていますわ。では、ごめん遊ばせ。
Even so, he's letting us off too easily. Ito easily accepted the explanation and promptly excused himself.
なんとか見逃してもらえたみたいだね。
What do you mean?
伊藤さんはなんだかんだで頭が回る人だからな。幹部が勢ぞろいしてる場に三男さんだけいねえんだ。あの人絡みで何かあったってことぐらいすぐ感づくだろう。
Oh. Ito had likely guessed at what took place, but decided not to press the issue. I looked up at the sudden sound of the door sliding open. It was Sanan. Sanan!
そんな化け物を見るような目で見られても困りますよ。
三男さん、起きてていいのかい？
少し気だるいですがね。これも薬の副作用でしょう。あの薬を飲んでしまうと昼間動くことが困難になりますから。
Daylight bad. Yep. Sanan looked a little pale, but it didn't look too difficult for him to stand and speak. But if it was hard for him to move during the day...
私はもう人ではありません。
Those words sunk heavily into our hearts. Even the captains fell silent at his solemn admission. Despite that,
いや、三男君、君が生きていてくれてよかった。我々はそれだけで十分だと思う。
Kondo stood and grabbed Sanan's shoulders tightly. Tears welled in his beaming eyes.
それで腕の方はどうなんです？治ったんですか？
まだ本調子ではありませんからね。自分でもよくわからないのですね。
He lifted his left arm, the arm that before had hung limp at his side. He flexed it, opened and closed it. It didn't look any different than before his injury.
治っているようですね。少なくとも不便がない程度には。
Thank goodness! In spite of the chaos from last night, his wish to use his arm once more came true. Yeah, but is it worth everything else? However...
あの薬を飲んだってことは昼間動けねえようになっちまったんだろう。それなのにタイムに参加なんてできるのか。
To this, Sanan was quick to respond.
解決策はあります。私が死んだことにすればいい。
Will he return to the Sanan before he lost his arm? You mean will his mood improve? Good question. But also, I hope Ito didn't see you walking over here, Sanan.
これから私は薬の成功例として羅刹を束ねていこうと思っています。
サンナンさん、それ本気で言ってるのか？あんた自分が何を言ってるのか分かってるのかよ。
分かっていますと。長倉君、君こそ忘れたのですか？我々は薬の存在を伏せるよう幕府から命じられているのですよ。私が死んだことにすれば今までのように薬の存在を隠し通すことができる。それにもし薬の持つ副作用を消すことができるのだとすれば、それを使わない手はないでしょう。
No one spoke up. I was sure that, deep in their hearts, everyone wanted to stop him. But...
薬の実験は幕府からのお達しでもあるしな。そうするしかないか。
まあ、三男さんが自分で選んだ道ですし、止めたって聞く人じゃないですよね。
よくわかっていますね。その通りですよ。
Hijikata finally spoke. In a half murmur, something close to bitterness in his eyes.
短所移転の話、冗談じゃ済まされなくなったな。三男さんを伊藤派の目から隠すには広い短所が必要だ。ここじゃ狭すぎる。
同意します。薬の研究を続けるのであれば、なおのこと移転を急ぐべきかと。
よし、ろくに寝てねえとこ悪いが、話し合いを始めさせてもらうぜ。雪村、お前は部屋に戻ってろ。ろくに寝てねえだろ。
Understood. Please excuse me. I bowed to everyone and left the common room. I was honestly happy that Sanan was safe. However, a whole flurry of new concerns had arisen. Learning of my father's horrible work? What would become of me? Would I be safe? Such thoughts buzzed in my head as I walked back to my room. If we move, are we going back to house arrest? Possibly not. We've proved we're capable. 1865, May. May 1865. Spring had passed, and due to the reforming of the calendar, the year went from the 2nd of Ganji to the 1st of Keo. 3 months had passed since we'd moved the headquarters to Nishihon. Oh, nope. Try that one again. 3 months had passed since we'd moved the headquarters to Nishihonwanji. Headquarters, 2. After leaving Mibu, the Shinsengumi relocated their headquarters to the Nishihonwanji Temple, also referred to as the compound. It's a lot more room, but more room meant, well, farther to walk. I'd walked through it every day, and I was finally beginning to learn my way around. As I turned a corner near the back of the compound, I caught sight of someone sitting in the shadows. And there you are, Sannan. Your meal's ready.
Ah, 君でしたか。ありがとう。
The snow and cherry blossoms had faded, and now summer was here. Sannan and I exchanged smiles, and I held out my hands to let the breeze brush across them. It's really gotten warm lately.
ええ。まあ、今の私には風より日差しの強さの方が勘に触りますがね。
Really? I didn't think the sun was particularly strong that day. But to Sannan, it must have been awfully bright. The night of that incident, Sannan's hair had turned white, and his eyes had shone with a thirst for blood. He hadn't seemed human anymore, or so I'd heard. But looking at his peaceful smile now made it hard to imagine him in such a way. If someone told me it was all a bad dream, I might have believed it. It wasn't a dream though, and now Sannan spent his days hiding from others. He could no longer go out in the light of day. He had indeed tapped into the Shinsengumi's secrets. For just a moment, the sun lit on Sannan's hair. I wasn't sure if it was a trick of the light, but in that moment, his hair was a brilliant white.
どうかしましたか？幽霊でも見るような目つきで人を見るのは良いこととは思えませんが。
Which I hardly feel is polite. Yes, given your status as not exactly a ghost. Oh, no! Nothing at all. He looked perfectly normal now, of course. Surely, I thought, I must have simply imagined it. Even so, Sannan had become the same creature as the men I encountered on my first night in Kyoto. And here, right in front of me, he stood. The fear from that night cast a shadow over my heart. Hey, Heisuke's back! Heisuke and I briskly made our way through the streets of Kyoto. They were crowded as usual. You know, I haven't gone out on patrol with you in quite a while, Heisuke.
ああ、そうかもな。俺、長いこと江戸に行ってたし。俺の留守中どうだった？新八さんとか佐野さんにいじめられたりしなかったか？
Everything was fine, and they were kind to me.
そっか。ならいいけど。親父さんの行方はどうなんだ？ 手がかりとか見つかったか？
None at all.
やっぱ見つからねえか。俺も江戸に戻った時、お前の家の様子を見に行ってみたんだけどな。人が戻ってきた様子はなかったし、ほんとどこに行っちまったんだろうな。
Somberness of Heisuke's expression started to rub off on me. Oh, thank you for taking the time to look anyway.
いや、別に礼を言われるようなことじゃねえって。そもそもお前が今みてえに自由に外に出られねえのも、元はといえば俺たちの。
Heisuke? Heisuke stopped himself mid-sentence. Ever since he returned from Edo, he'd looked glum. Hey, Heisuke? How about you? It's been a while since you were in Kyoto. Does it seem different from Edo?
そうだな。街も人も結構変わった気がする。
I wondered what was going through his head. Had something happened to him in Edo? It felt a little strange. Heisuke's head jerked up slightly and he looked across the street. He waved over.
おい、掃除！そっちの様子はどうだった？
特に何も、いつも通りだね。
Mokito was out on patrol as well, though his route took him through a different part of the city.
でも、将軍上洛の時には忙しくなるんじゃないかな。
The Shogun's coming to visit Kyoto?
そう、近藤さんも張り切ってるよ。近藤さん、家持公のことをすごく尊敬してるから。
I see. I hope it turns out well. Right, Heisuke?
うん。まあ、近藤さんはそうだろうな。
Something had really gotten into him. I glanced at Okita to see if he'd noticed anything. Okita? Are you alright?
平気だよ。ちょっと風邪をひいちゃったみたい。
Did Heisuke already meet the Shogun on the way back? Or maybe he spent too much time talking with that Ito guy, who doesn't particularly like the Shogun, right? I see. Please take care of yourself. I have medicine to treat colds, so I'll give you some when we return.
そう。ありがとう。君でもごくたまに役に立つことがあるんだね。
What's the matter? Okita's eyes looked past me, and suddenly something caught his attention off to the side.
おい小娘、断るとはどういう了見だ？
やめてください。話して。
Ah. An important person.
民草のために日々上位を論ずる我ら志士に尺の一つや二つ自分からするのが当然であろうが。
Patriot. A person who devotes themselves to their country, sometimes going so far as to give their life in the process. Across the street, a group of Ronin were harassing a young girl. Okita, Heisuke!
分かってるって。お前はここで待ってろ。
But Okita got to them first.
やれやれ。上位って言葉も君たちに使われるんじゃかわいそうだよ。
The usual crowds shuffled away from Okita and the men as quickly as they could. The Ronin's eyes found Okita's jacket, and they stiffened.
その羽織、新選組か。
Yeah, patriotism is not my thing either. Yeah, my country's kind of messed up.
知ってるなら話が早いな。どうする？
Okita's like, there's a brain in there somewhere, huh? His lips curled into a predatory smile as his hand gripped his sword. There was no mirth in that grin, and the Ronin's faces grew much paler. Their moods were not totally deflated yet, as their ringleader made one more attempt.
いいからとっとと失せろって。
The sight of two Shinsengumi blue jackets standing shoulder to shoulder was enough to deter the men.
貴様ら、覚えておれ。
The last of the colour drained from their faces and they turned tail and ran.
俺たちを見てとっとと逃げ出すぐらいなら、最初からあんな真似するなっての。
Are you not going to arrest them?
どんな罪で？君って意外と過激だな。
I didn't really mean it like that.
助けてくださってありがとうございました。私、南雲薫と申します。
Naoru Nagumo. A girl the protagonist saves while on patrol with Okita and Tojo. She bears a striking resemblance to the protagonist. You know, in case you hadn't noticed that one yet. The girl gave us a quick bow. She was so refined, so ladylike. Even dressed like a girl, I doubted I could ever be as elegant as her. I'd only just begun to feel sorry for myself when suddenly my arm was grabbed and I was pulled to the side. Okita?
いいから、この子の横に立って。
Yeah, Okita's going to really point out the fact that we look very, very similar. Huh? He put me next to the girl we'd just rescued, then stepped back to stroke his chin thoughtfully. Okita? What should I do? They're even dressed in like similar colours with similar coloured hair accessories as well. The girl gave me a peaceful smile, unbothered by the situation. Her smile was beautiful, but there was something about it that seemed odd. She seemed familiar.
やっぱりよく似てるね、二人とも。
I mean, we were dressed as a boy. I mean, still are dressed as a boy. Like each other? That's when I finally realized she was identical to what I saw in the mirror.
そっか。俺は全然似てないと思うけどな。
Also, some of the Shinsengumi are not very good at seeing things. Slash noticing things. Case in point, Heisuke. He's like, I don't think these two look any remotely similar. Heisuke, they've got the same coloured hair, the same coloured eyes. Not quite the same shape of face.
いや、似てるよ。きっとこの子が女装したらそっくりになると思うな。
沖田さん、この方困ってらっしゃいますよ。
Oh, I had to say something, but what? Perhaps she saw through my confusion, or perhaps it was something else.
きちんとお礼をしたいのですけれど、今は所用がありまして。ご無礼、ご容赦くださいね。このご恩はまたいずれ。新選組の沖田総司さん。
With that, the mysterious girl disappeared into the crowds of Kyoto.
おいおい、ありゃ掃除にキレもあるんじゃねえの？
今のがそう見えたんなら、平助は一生佐野さんに勝てないよね。
どういう意味だよ。
Their back and forth continued, but my mind was elsewhere. I dropped my gaze to a puddle at my feet. Staring back at me was a young girl who looked just like me. Kaoru, huh? The wind caught in the surface of the puddle, sending a flurry of ripples across it. I'm coming! I tore my eyes away from the puddle and rushed after Heisuke and Okuta. The common room at the temple was much larger than the one at the previous compound. It was so large, in fact, that the entire Shinsengumi could gather with space to spare. Kondo's voice echoed grandly as he spoke, standing in front of the many warriors assembled before him.
皆も徳川第14代将軍徳川家茂公が上洛されるという話は聞き及んでいると思う。
Yamochi Tokugawa, the 14th Tokugawa shogun. He married Emperor Komei's sister in support of imperial unification, and he was popular with the emperor and the vassals.
その上洛に伴い、公が二条城に入られるまで、新選組総力をもって警護の任に当たるべしとの要請を受けた。
Nijo Castle, a castle built by the Tokugawa shogunate to house the shogun while he was in Kyoto.
将軍校の警護を新選組が？
こりゃとんでもねえ大出世だな。
池田屋や金門の辺の活躍でお偉いさん方も俺たちの働きを認めざるを得なかったんだろうよ。
警護中は文字通り僕らの刀に国の行く末がかかってるってことですか？
そういうことだ。てめえら気合い入れていけよ。
将軍公の警護とはまた大役ですな。
That was the other captain whose name I was trying to remember. Takeda.
本当に三男さんが生きていればどれほどお喜びになったことか。本当に惜しい方を亡くしましたわね。
Ito dabbed at his eyes with his sleeve. Ito and his followers were told that Sannan had died. In fact, the entire incident surrounding his transformation had been covered up. Only a few of the men of the Shinsengumi knew the truth.
伊藤さん、こたびの幕命を立派に成し遂げることこそ、亡くなった三男君が真に望んでいることだと思います。
分かっていますわ。私たちの名を天下に広く知らしめる絶好の機会ですものね。
ともあれ、これから忙しくなりますな。
まずはタイの編成を考えれば。とりあえず俺とトシ、それからソジ。
待ってくれ近藤さん。ソジは今回外してやってくれねえか。
なぜ
だ。なんでも風邪が治らねえとかでな。養生しろって散々言ってるのによ。
Yeah, you gotta get your rest when you've got a cold. You gotta fully recover.
本当か？大丈夫なのか、ソジ。
大した風邪じゃないんですけどね。土方さんは大げさなんですよ。
何言ってやがるんだ。さっきも咳してただろうが。
それ薬を売りつけるための工場ですか？何を言われても石田三役は買いませんよ。
そんなんじゃねえよ。いいから言う通りにしろ。
You gave Okuta some pretty strong medicine not too long ago. Had it not been effective? Or maybe he didn't have a cold but was inhaling dust from the lack of cleaning here? Then suddenly someone raised his hand.
平介、どうしたんだね。何か気になることでもあるのか。
あのさ、近藤さん、実は俺もちょっと調子が。
なんだ、平介も風邪か？気をつけないといかんぞ。
That is definitely something that we've been doing. I imagine the problem is that we are one person and there are a lot of messy boys here, shall we say. But yeah, does Okuta have a cold? I will say there was one thing going into this game that I knew about the Shinsengumi, and it was related to that. So that part is historical fact. I mean, I knew more than one thing about the Shinsengumi, but that was definitely a thing.
せっかくの晴れ舞台、全員揃って家持公をお迎えしたかったのだがな。
すいません。
ああ、いや、責めたわけではないんだ。体調は大事だからな。いずれまた機会もあるであろうし、二人にはその時存分に働いてもらいたい。
Kondo and Hijikata continued to discuss their formation, but suddenly Hijikata turned to me.
そういや雪村、お前はどうするんだ？
は？
ほうけてるんじゃねえよ。お前は警護に参加するのかって聞いてんだ。
I can go too?
無論構わんとも。君も今や新選組の一員と言っても過言ではない。ぜひ参加してくれ。
We're almost officially a Shinsengumi member. Yeah. We're trusted. Could I? Could I really go? I hesitated for a moment, confused, and saw that Okito was grinning my way.
まあ行ってもいいんじゃない？そんなに危険もなさそうだしね。
長州藩士は今日に出入りできねえから、切った張ったの騒ぎにはならねえだろうし。
What should I do? I was a little concerned about joining, given I wasn't a warrior, but I was feeling emotionally strained with no leads of my father turning up on rounds. I'll go.
よし、わかった。お前には伝令やら使いっ走りを頼むことになると思う。
Messenger again. Yep, figured. That's my job.
こき使ってやるから覚悟しとけ。
In the early days of the Tokugawa shogunate, Nijo Castle was a place for the shogun to stay on his way to the capital. It had been a while since a shogun actually stayed there, though. We'd met the shogun on the road and begun our escort, arriving at the castle not too long ago. By now, I imagined, Kondo, Nagakura, Inoue, and the men were greeting the important people in the shogun's retinue. Well, I've got a job to do too. It was my job to tell soldiers when to change shifts and to carry messages back and forth. It was essentially just running errands. I was contributing. Probably. I've come with a message.
なんだ、お前が伝達係かよ。ここは遊び場じゃねえんだぜ。
Once again, being assumed to be younger. Well, I'm not here to play.
へえ、そうかよ。じゃあまともな刀も刺してないお前が何しに来てるんだ？
I've decided I don't like him. Rude. I've come here to do what I can do. Could we please get to the point?
言ってみろ。
The chief is currently going around paying his respects to the people in the castle. Everyone else continue with the guard.
わかった。確かに伝達は聞いたぜ。
Huh? Was it? Was it that simple?
おい。なんだそのバカ面は。俺が伝達を聞いたのがそんなにおかしいか。
Oh, well, no, I just...
仕事は仕事だからな。市場を挟むつもりはねえんだよ。ほら、伝達は聞いたんだ。さっさと行け。
Yes. Miki and I never really got along, but maybe he was a responsible person after all. After he shooed me away, I continued attending to my duties as a messenger. Around Nijo Castle, I could see warriors wearing a white uniform, different from the standard blue one. And they didn't seem too nervous. But I supposed it made sense. The Choshu extremists from the National Imperialist Party had been driven out of Kyoto, and security was tight. There's no way anything would happen. A sudden chill ran down my spine. I knew the feeling. A length of cold steel aimed right at you, eyes shining with a lust for blood and violence. Since I'd begun living with the Shinsengumi, I'd felt it more than once. It was killing intent. My eyes were drawn to the roof. In a spot shielded from the light of the torches, where the moonlight just barely reached. There they stood. You!
気づいた。さほど鈍いというわけでもない。
They looked very distinctive, unlike any soldiers I'd seen before. Their harsh glares rained down on me, piercing like arrows. I had recognized them. Now, to put names to faces. Chikage Kazuma. A man with ties... Spoilers for about 5 minutes from now. A man with ties to the Satsuma domain. He claims to be a demon, and he has a very specific interest in the heroine. Kyuju Hamagiri. A mysterious person involved with the Satsuma domain. He claims to be a demon. Kyo Shiranoi. A person who associates himself with the Choshu domain. He claims to be a demon. They'd made an effort to impede the Shinsengumi at Ikeda, and again at Hamaguri. Why are you here?
そのなぜっつうのはどうやってここに立ち入ったかを聞いてやがんのか
I mean, the how is also important.
だったら答えは簡単だ。俺ら鬼の一族には人間が作る障害なんざ意味をなさねえんだよ。
我々はある目的のためにここに来た。君を探していたのです。雪村千鶴。
What? My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was about to burst. How did these men know my name? I don't understand. A demon? What do you mean? You're here for me? Are you trying to trick me?
鬼を知らぬだ。本気で言っている。
He stepped forward, cloaked in darkness. When Amagiri spoke next, it was calm and peaceful, as if he were reasoning with a frightened child.
君は負った傷がすぐに癒えませんか?
I held my breath.
波の人間とは思えぬほど怪我の治りが早くありませんか?
How did he know? I'd never revealed the secret to anyone before. Well, just as I was about to deny their accusations.
ああ? なんなら血ぶちまけて証明した方が早いか?
Shiranoi's gun glistened eerily.
貴様貴重な女鬼に傷を負わせるつもりか。
んなこと言われても こいつの往生際が悪いんだからしょうがねえだろうが。
Kazuma glared at Shiranai. His eyes drifted once more towards the Kodachi on my hip.
鬼を示す生徒、東の鬼が持つ子たち、証拠としては十分です。
My family name? What was wrong with Yukimura? Cold sweat was inching down my spine.
お前を連れて行く同意など。
Yeah, it would not in fact be kidnapping if you got her permission, would it? His hand stretched out from the darkness to grab hold of me. But then... a blade flickered through the night.
おいおい、合いびきならもう少し色気のある場所を選んだ方がいいんじゃねえか。
またお前たち。田舎の犬は目端だけは聞くと
それはこちらのセリフだ。
Wada! Saito! I was so relieved by their arrival, my legs almost gave way. A strong, rough hand caught me and pulled me back, its grip hard as steel. Hijikata! He guided me around behind him and placed his hand on his sword.
将軍の首でも取りに来たかと思えば、こんなガキ一人に一体何のよ。
将軍も貴様らも今はどうでもいい。俺は我ら鬼のもんだ。
Demon. Stronger and more powerful than humans, they have rapid healing powers. Chikage Kazama, Kyo Shiranoi, and Kyoryu Amagiri are among their numbers. And, allegedly, the protagonist. If we are to believe them. His eyes narrowed. He glared sharply at Kazama as if trying to decide if he was telling the truth or not.
こいつの面を拝むのは禁門の変以来だ。
腐れんってとこか。大して嬉しくもねえがな。
再会という意味でこちらも同じくだ。
我々の邪魔立てをするつもりですか。ならば。
The tension was so thick in the air that I could scarcely breathe. They were a powder keg ready to explode. Even the slightest movement could set them off. It wasn't like I could do much. But I still wanted to help them, so I grabbed my sword. Suddenly... Yamazaki! Hello. Yamazaki! When did you...
副長のメイだ。君はこのまま俺が屯所まで連れて行く。
You're telling me to run away?
その通りだ。君がここにいてもできることは何もない。
He may be right, but I... Stay or go back to headquarters? Well, given that I am aiming myself at Heisuke and Heisuke is not here, I'll leave. Even as I ran back to the headquarters with Yamazaki, I couldn't shake the fear in my heart. When we finally got to the compound, I still felt nervous, but I could do nothing but stare back into the blank darkness.
もう大丈夫だ。さすがにここまで追ってはこれまい。
Are you sure, Yamazaki? Are you sure they can't follow me here? But
不安なところ申し訳ないが、俺は副長たちのところへ戻らなくてはならない。皆将軍校の警護に出ているから、今の屯所に大使はほとんど残っていない。沖田さんか東堂さんのところにいるのがいいだろう。そこが最も安全だ。
alright. I'll go find them.
では、後のことは頼んだぞ。
With that, he disappeared back into the darkness. Suddenly, the night felt very quiet. Who were those people? They had called me a demon. I shook my head. I suddenly felt very, very alone. As Yamazaki said, I should go find Okita or Heisuke. But whom should I look for? Heisuke. The compound that I was so used to seeing felt like an unfamiliar place at night. Nearly all of the members of the Shinsengumi had left to guard the shogun, which meant the compound was silent. I was quite relieved when I spotted Heisuke. Heisuke!
しずるなんでここにいるんだ将軍の警護は終わったのか
Actually, I didn't know where to start. Stumbling over my words, I poured out the whole story. At the mention of Amagiri, the man who'd wounded him at Ikeda, Heisuke scowled.
あいつが二条城にしかもお前を迎えに来たって
Yeah.
人違いじゃねえのかお前にそっくりな誰かと勘違いしてるとか
I don't think so. I don't know how, but they knew my name.
そっかなんか気味が悪いよな
Alright, so which of these feels like points? Agreeing with him? Probably. But then again, equally, I'm okay now that I'm here with you. Yeah, it is.
でももう大丈夫だからさ安心しろって
Yeah, okay. The other one. But I'm okay now, right? Yeah.
ああここにいる限り心配はいらねえよ俺がついてるからさ
Thanks. I felt a little better. There was something about his innocent smile and bravery that was comforting. But wait. I thought you didn't feel well. Shouldn't you be resting inside, or better yet, I'll prepare some medicine.
あ
Yeah, you were lying about not feeling well, weren't you, Heisuke?
実はさ違うんだよ 調子が悪いわけじゃなくて。
Huh? He looked at me for a moment, then shook his head in defeat.
ただ、警護に行きたくなかったんだ。
What do you mean you didn't want to go? Why? Heisuke seemed to be unsure whether to open up, and he looked up at the night sky for a moment. Eventually, he slowly but quietly continued speaking.
近藤さんとか土方さんは幕府とか家持公のことをすごく尊敬してるけど、俺はとてもそうは思えなくてさ。
What do you mean by that? His response was so unexpected, I wasn't sure what to make of it.
お前はしばらく江戸に戻ってねえからわからねえのかもしれねえけど、今の江戸はさ、偉人が我が物顔でいろんな建物を建ててて、なのに幕府の役人はそのことを全然気にしてねえみてえでさ、本気で上位をするつもりがあるのか、江戸に住む人たちを守るつもりなんてねえんじゃねえかって思っちまって。こんな状況で将軍上洛って言われてもいろいろ引っかかっちまってさ。それにお前も聞いたんだろ、例の薬の話。
My heart skipped a beat. I did.
あれもさ、もともとは幕府の命令なんだよな。近藤さんたちは頑張って実績を積めば幕府もいずれ認めてくれるって思い込んでるけど、このまま便利にこき使われて捨てられる降参の方が高いんじゃねえかな。
Heisuke.
誤解しないでくれよ。俺別に近藤さんや土方さんのやり方に不満があるわけじゃねえんだ。やっぱりあの人たちのことは好きだし、ついて生きてって思ったからこうやって一緒に今日に登ってきたんだし。
Heisuke's eyes were filled with confusion and pain, and it hurt my heart seeing them. To be in the predicament of not knowing what's right or wrong, and sure had to come to a compromise when everyone held different beliefs. Was that why you invited Ito to the Shinsengumi?
伊藤さんは政治とか世の中のことに詳しいし、人脈もあるし、タイをいい方向に導いてくれるんじゃねえかって思って、少なくとも今よりは。
As any group grows, it must begin to accept people with differing viewpoints. Besides, it was unlikely they would all be together forever. There was no telling when someone might lose their life in battle. The Ikeda Inn was a good example. Were the men of the Shinsengumi fated to end up on different paths? Still, I wanted to stay with everyone just a little longer. And that was what I truly believed. And I quietly looked up at the starry sky. Afterwards, once the rest of the men returned, there was a meeting among the captains. The topic was the three men who appeared at Nijo Castle, Chikage Kazama, Kyoju Amagiri, and Kyo Shiranai. They called themselves demons. Their encounters with the Shinsengumi suggested they were involved, somehow, with the Satsuma and Choshu. The Satsuma were the most powerful among the Outer Domains. Outer Domain, a domain governed by one of the Outer Daimyo. As for the Choshu, They were publicly vocal about their dissent towards the shogunate, and were now branded enemies of the court. I didn't know what ties these people had with the domains, but it was abundantly clear they were not to be dealt with carelessly. There was another problem, however. Why had they come for me? They said I was one of them, and knew about my family name and my kodachi. But how? My name was Chizuru Yukimura. I was the daughter of my father and my mother. I was a normal girl, nothing out of the ordinary. But who was I, really? (1865) May. It was the end of May 1865. The compound was alive with noise and movement. I passed several soldiers in the halls, each one of them buzzing with excitement. What was going on? Ito? Is something wrong?
どうしたもこうしたもありませんよ。私がなんであんな野蛮人どもと同じ部屋で肌をさらさなくてはならないの？
Ito's explanation made no sense. I was completely confused. Did something happen? Ito did his best to collect himself, shakily adjusting his hair and clothing before he spoke.
将軍上洛の時に近藤さんと意気投合したお医者様が屯所にいらしてるのよ。大使たちの健康診断を行うとかの名目で。
Ah, physical exams. With a disdainful sniff, he glared pointedly across the hall towards the area he'd just left. And the men were getting physical checkups, that much I knew. Given my situation, I'd been told to stay away.
あのハゲ坊主じゃなくてお医者様ったら。
So the doctor is bald.
皆の前で私に着物を脱げとおっしゃるのよ。拒んだら無理やり脱がせようとするし。それにあの大使たちの態度、まるで野獣みたいでしたわ。
Yes, a doctor who is not our father, but might be our father's friend. Wasn't he bald as well? I think. Beast seemed a bit strong. At any rate, perhaps I should go see just what a physical entailed. I was a doctor's daughter, after all. And because the game requires an excuse to show us all the guys with their shirts off. What's this doctor's name?
確か松本良順とか言ったかしら。
It was father's friend, Matsumoto sensei. What? Wait, Dr. Matsumoto?
何よその反応。知り合いなの？
When I first came to Kyoto, my plan was to find Dr. Matsumoto. My father told me I could rely on him if I ever needed anything. Unfortunately, he'd been away on business when I'd first arrived. Who would have thought I'd meet him here? I'm going to go to the physical exams. There was no time to waste.
まあ、あんなところに行きたがるなんて、なんて物好きなのかしら。
Ito's just like, why would you want to see a room full of men with their shirts off? Ito's stunned voice chased after me. Is this it? I could hear loud voices from inside. I peeked in. The scene froze me in place.
よし、次の人。
おう、俺の番だな。一丁頼みます、先生。ふっ、どうすか。剣術一筋で鍛えに鍛えたこの体。
新八さんの場合、体は頑丈だもん。見てもらうのは頭の方だよな。
ああ、余計なこと言ってると締めるぞ、ヘスケ。
うん、長倉新八と。よし、問題ない。次。
先生、もっとちゃんと見てくれよ。
いやいや、申し分ない健康体だ。新八、後ろが使えてるんだからさっさと終わらせろって。
そうじゃなくってよ、もっと他に見るところがあんだろ。鍛え抜かれた鋼のようなこの筋肉とか、仁王像みたいに屈強そうな体型とか。
診察は見てもらうものであって見せつけるものではない。さっさとどけ。
It wasn't difficult to see why Ito was desperate to escape. I couldn't imagine him taking part in such a display. The exams continued. I wanted to talk to Dr. Matsumoto, but he looked incredibly busy. What should I do? It felt like it would be rude to intrude.
雪村君、こんなところでどうかしたのか?
Yamazaki, you don't appear to be shirtless. Oh, Yamazaki, hello. I heard that Dr. Matsumoto was here. Yamazaki seemed to understand immediately, so he went straight to the point.
なるほど。松本先生に何か話があるようだな。君のことはある程度聞いている。事情はおおよそ分かった。だが、診察がなかなか終わらないようだ。俺に任せてくれるか?
Do I want Yamazaki to assist, or do I want to take care of this myself? Uncertain. Problem is, I don't know if this is Yamazaki affection points or like a difference in what I'm doing. I mean, also I definitely missed out on the opportunity to obtain affection points with the Yamazaki before, and we're not aiming for him as much as I'm really tempted. easier to have him take care of this. It means not going in there myself, but equally. No, I'll take care of it. Oh, don't worry, it's my own business, I'll take care of it. Oh, nope, that was points anyway.
そうか。
Hey!
では、何かあったら手伝おう。その時は頼ってくれ。
Alright, thank you so much. Yamazaki and I parted ways, and I looked over to check how Dr. Matsumoto was doing.
君はもう少し胃腸に気をつけるようにな。この薬を食後に飲むように。今ので薬が切れたか。
I waited outside for Dr. Matsumoto until he stepped out of the examination room. Excuse me? He took a good look at me, and his eyes softened.
薬の補充も兼ねて休憩にしようか。君、ちょっと手伝ってくれるかね。
Oh, yes, of course. What luck. Dr. Matsumoto?
松本先生、雪村君。
Oh, hello, Kondo.
おお、早速会えたようだな。
はい、おかげさまで。感謝しとります。
What? I was utterly lost. Dr. Matsumoto gently laid his hands on my shoulders.
千鶴君、私は君に会うためにここに来たんだよ。
Ah, the physical exams are an excuse.
高堂さんの娘さんがここに身を寄せていると近藤さんが教えてくれたんだ。
Oh, I see.
高堂さんと松本先生が懇意にしていたことは俺も知っていたからな。何か高堂さんの手がかりになればと思い、松本先生が今日に戻ってすぐに連絡を取った。
The Shinsengumi had their own reasons for wanting my father found. It may not have been entirely for my sake, but I was still grateful to Kondo for looking out for me. Thank you, both of you. They smiled. Dr. Matsumoto then explained that he had just barely missed me when he left for Edo as I came to Kyoto. He'd received my letter, but he hadn't received any further news regarding my whereabouts, and so he couldn't find me.
すれ違いだったとはいえ、辛い思いをさせてしまったようだ。君がここにいる事情は分かっておるよ。何か不自由なことはないかね。
No, I'm doing just fine. So, Dr. Matsumoto, about my father. His face took on a grim cast, and before he even spoke, I knew what his response would be.
残念ながら、私も高堂さんの居場所は知らないんだ。
He's got no clue either. I see. The defeated tone of my voice surprised me. On some level, I must have believed Dr. Matsumoto had some miraculous revelation about my father. Dr. Matsumoto pondered for a moment, then glanced at Kondo. Kondo simply nodded. He then turned to me, a strange look on his face.
君はここにいることで、あの薬に関わってしまったようだね。
Ah, Dr. Matsumoto, you know about that too, huh?
あの薬、つまり高堂さんが新選組で行っていた研究のことについてだが。
Yes, I knew what he meant. The experiments my father conducted with some strange concoction that would make people go mad. Please, tell me about it. I want to know everything my father was doing. He nodded.
コードーさんが幕命を受け、新選組で行っていたのは羅刹を生み出す実験だった。
Yeah, knew that much.
羅刹とはすなわち、鬼神のごとき力と驚異的な治癒能力を持つ人間のことだ。
Furies. Creatures with heightened speed and strength, as well as the ability to heal from almost any wound. One can only be killed by a stab wound through the heart, or by having its head removed. Furies. Super soldiers, basically. Also, you may have noticed, just a second, let's go back to the encyclopedia. Nope, wrong page. The start of the description on Furies is very similar to the start of the description on Demon. Yes, also, we also heal like that, yes. And while Hijikata is referred to as the demon commander, he is not actually a demon. That one's just a nickname. I'd heard that word before. It had been spoken in conjunction with the word serum.
掃除。めったなこと言うもんじゃねえ。幹部が羅刹になってどうするんだよ。
ああ、羅刹ってのは薬を飲んだら怪我も治っちまう。
羅刹っていうのはかわいそうな子たちのことだよ。
そしてその羅刹を生み出したのは落ち水という薬だ。
There you go. The water of life. A substance imported from the west that turns those who drink it into furies. Until refined by Kodo Yukimura, it was too toxic to use.
これは西洋ではエリクサー、中華では先端と呼ばれるものに値する。つまるところ、不老不死の霊薬みたいなものだ。
Furies. Water of life. A legendary medicine said to cure all ills and give eternal life. It sounded like something from a fairy tale. And there was something in Dr. Matsumoto's tone of voice. He was telling the truth. I've already heard about how it makes one strong and heals one's wounds. But doesn't it cause incredible pain? And the smell of blood can make them go insane. Dr. Matsumoto nodded slowly. He pinched the bridge of his nose, looking very tired.
そこまで知っていたのか。
Yes. They were human, but not human. They seemed to become something entirely different. I couldn't see how this water of life could ever be used for good. Even if it had healed Sanan's arm, he'd suffered greatly in the process. Why? It sounded more like a moan than a question. My father would never want to ruin the life of another. And yet, because of what he'd done, the Shinsengumi warriors had experienced unimaginable agony. Some even died. Why was my father doing this? But it wasn't just my father. I was sure no one involved expected such a terrible outcome.
だからこそ両親の呵責に耐えかねた行動さんはここを去ったんだろう。
Maybe.
しかしあれは幕府が新選組の人材不足を補うために授けてくださった知恵でもあるのです。
The doctor only shook his head, his expression grave.
あの計画は失敗だ。行わない方がいい。幕府も見切りをつけているはずだ。
Kondo frowned, perhaps unhappy that Dr. Matsumoto would question the shogunate's original decision.
あの薬を飲んだ大使たちがどうなったか、近藤さんもよく知ってるだろう。あの計画は人道的に決して許されるもんじゃない。
Kondo gave a non-committal grunt and fell silent. I was sure Kondo knew just how dangerous it was to use the water of life. However, the shogunate had come to him with an order. Perhaps he couldn't refuse. Even if he'd wanted to. Silence fell like a thick blanket.
たとえ将軍公の御殿医を務めておられる方のお言葉といえど、
you're supposed to be up and out, Sanan.
大使でもない方に口を差し挟まれる筋合いはありません。
Sanan! His face was pale as moonlight, as if he was a walking corpse. Is it all right for you to be up right now?
三男君、休んでいた方がいいのではないか。顔色が悪いぞ。
ご心配なく。
He bowed quickly, his mouth set in a tight line. His stare dug into Dr. Matsumoto.
我々は我々の裁量で例の薬を有効に活用させていただいています。
しかし危険だ。あの薬は人が扱えるような代物じゃない。
研究は続いています。そしてこの私という成功例もあります。
Hanan did indeed prove it. It was possible to drink the water of life and retain your sanity.
一見平気そうに見えるかもしれんが、体のどこかに相当無理をかけていることも考えられるぞ。
私は至って健康ですよ。
I don't know if perfectly healthy is a thing that you are, Sanan. Unable to walk around during daylight hours without a lot of pain.
今後も研究と改良を重ねれば薬の質が上がるのは明白です。
そのためにさらに多くの大使を犠牲にするつもりかね。成功するかどうかもわからん実験に大使を付き合わせるのは生命を冒涜しているとしか思えんが。
彼らは我々の礎となったのです。無駄死にではありません。
しかしだな。
まあまあ、松本先生も三男君も落ち着いて、この話は後日改めてということにしないか。
Were unlikely to agree, no matter what time they discussed the subject, so Kondo cut the argument short. You wonder if there's a similar medicine in today's terms derived from it. Well, I mean, this water of life is definitely not a real historical fact. So, this is one of the things in this that is definitely not real historical fact. There seemed to be no common ground between them. There was no sense arguing. Likely Dr. Matsumoto had seen this as well. Yeah, while the scaffolding for this story, shall we say, is historical events, there are some fantastical events laid on top of it, which is anything involving the demons, that serum, and the Furies. And our super healing ability. That does count as something involving the demons, yes. Something involving the demons and the water of life and the Furies and all of that super healing power things. It made me wonder whether at this point Sanan is... yes. Yeah, at this point in historical fact, Sanan is in fact dead. According to a quick Google, he died in March of 1865, which is when he died here. Man seemed to give in for now, as the corner of his mouth quirked up into the beginnings of a smile. He bowed quietly and left as swiftly as he arrived.
そういえば先生、健康診断の方はどうでしたかな？
ああ、それなんだがな。頭を抱えたよ。
え？それは一体なぜ？
なぜも何も。怪我人や病人を合計したら全大使の3分の1近くになるじゃないか。
Oof. What?
なんとじゃないぞ近藤さん。あんたらは今まで何をやってたんだ。切り傷から渋り腹まで。この豚書は病の見本市だぞ。
面目ない。まさかそんなことになっていたとは。
まずは病室を用意して、そこに病人を運び込んでくれ。それから、豚書を清潔にしてもらわんと話にならん。
承知しました。すぐに取り掛かります。
You need a hospital area and a deep cleaning. And so, we were ordered to clean the entire compound top to bottom.
ったく、何なんだよ大掃除って。俺は掃除とか整理整頓がこの世で一番嫌いなのによ。
ぐちゃぐちゃ言ってないで、さっさとそこのタンスを持ち上げてくれって。散々自慢してた体力を披露するいい機会じゃねえか。うわー、ネズミが出た。
落ち着け、大事はない。どうやらそこにある握り飯を餌にしていたようだな。
Why is there a rice ball over there?
本当だ。誰だよ、食い残しの握り飯をこんなところに隠してたやつ。
まったく、なぜ私がこのような雑用に駆り出されなければならんのだ。そもそも私は軍略が専門だというのに。
Everyone's got it clean right now, Takeda. No one is above it.
いいじゃねえか。いつも自慢してる公衆流なんちゃらでパパッと終わらせてくれよ。
mean, you can't expect Chizuru to clean an entire temple complex by herself. And since she was mostly doing cleaning to, like, feel useful, but then we did actually get let out to actually go looking for her dad, she's probably doing less of it than she used to back at the other place.
Damare! 私の甲州流軍学はこのようなくだらぬ役目のためにあるものではない。
Hoshu Military Science, a collection of Kai and Takeda's tactics during the Warring States era.
原田も人が悪いな。こいつが盲信してる時代遅れの兵法なんて、このご時世、掃除の役にも立たないだろう。
ミキ君、言葉に気をつけたまえ。確かに洋楽には劣るかもしれんが、甲州流軍学は決して時代遅れではなく。
近藤さんだ。
近藤局長、ご覧ください。先ほどまで足の踏み場もないほどだった部屋が私の指導でここまで。
Claiming the credits, is he?
局長は
Takeda realized Kondo was nowhere to be seen, and he glared at Harada.
引っかかりやがった。
原田、貴様、測ったな。
ぶつくさ文句言ったり、ペコペコしたり、怒ったり、忙しいなあんたも。そうやって相手によってコロコロ態度変えてて疲れねえか。
Everyone, I've washed the rags. Please use these when you wipe the floor.
ありがとよ。
Despite being upset because of chore duty, the men swiftly cleaned the room as a team. The next day, Dr. Matsumoto came to inspect the cleanliness of the compound.
まあまあ綺麗になったじゃないか。
A day of intense cleaning, involving everyone. I guess you could get a place entirely clean that way.
だろ？この筋肉は飾りじゃねって先生もようやく分かってくれたみてえだな。
人を動かすという点に関しては軍略も掃除もさして変わりませぬゆえ。
あんた文句言ってただけだろうが。
でも掃除は一日休んでたんだろ。ずるいよな、みんな頑張ってる時に。
しょうがないじゃない。土方さんが過保護なんだから。
Hijikata's not being overprotective. You're sick, Soji.
お前が変な咳するからだろうが。養生しねえからいつまでも治らねえんだよ。
しかしやはりこうして片付いていると気分がいいものです。
まあな、見違えたもんだ。これはこれで悪くね
え。よし、これからは毎日掃除するか。
おう、頼んだぜ平助。
なんで俺だけなんだよ。体力自慢の新発さんが真っ先に働くべきだろ。
I'll help too, Heisuke.
そっか。そんじゃ明日から二人で頑張ろうな。新発さんなんて放っておいて。
おいおい、ちょっと待てって。誰もやらねえとは言ってねえだろ。
お、そこにまだゴミがあるじゃねえか。ちょうどいい。捨ててこい、新八。
いや、だから明日からだろなあ、平助。
片付けたそばから暴れるな。怒りが立つ。
I was enjoying the banter when I noticed something. I saw Okita and Dr. Matsumoto walking off somewhere together. Where could they be going? Yeah. Genuinely, my instinct is I'm worried about Okita, but also, we're not dealing with him right now. So let's just focus on what we're doing here. I'm sure Okita's fine. I was worried for Okita, but he'd be fine as long as Dr. Matsumoto was with him. Or at least, I hoped so. After the excitement wound down, I excused myself and went back to work. I was outside sweeping, bamboo broom in hand, when he appeared.
こんなところで何をしている
A voice so deep it felt as if it was coming from the depths of the earth froze me in place. Right there was...
誇り高き鬼の血を引いているお前が人間の使い走りをさせられていると
Speaking of, what is this person doing here? Right back at you, Kazama. Kazama. His face held a mixture of surprise and contempt as he looked down at me through cold eyes. I held the broom in both hands like a staff and stepped into a fighting stance. What are you doing here? He snorted at me.
そんなもので俺と戦う気か滑稽を通り越して哀れにすら感じる
His tone was mocking, and his eyes were like two chips of ice. This was a dangerous man. What was I to do? I could hardly face him alone.
そう言い切り立つな今日は戦いに来たわけでは
But have you come to kidnap her? You didn't say that you hadn't come for that.
お前とコードに関わりがあるかを確かめに来ただけ
My father? I was staring at him, stunned by his statement.
父だとそれはコードのことか
If you're talking about Kodo Yukimura, then yes, he's my father. At first, he seemed surprised, but then he seemed to come to some sort of conclusion. Why are you asking about my father? I lowered the broom, my situation temporarily forgotten when...
敵地に単独で忍び入るか俺たちも舐められたもんだぜ
Hijikata!
昼間っから何しに来やがった女を口説くにはまだ早い時間だぜ
こいつに近づくんじゃねえ
Harada! Heisuke!
庭掃除にしちゃ切羽詰まった声が聞こえたからな
千鶴、大丈夫か怪我してねえか
No, I'm fine.
そうして群れる様は犬猫のごとく
ほざいてやがれ
I could feel the tension rising by the second. Kazama cut through it first.
遊んで欲しければ相手をしてやらぬでもないがあいにく今日は用事を済ませに来ただけだそれからこれは忠告だただの人間を鬼に作り変えるのはやめておけ
humans into demons? Was he talking about the serum?
てめえには関係ね
おう、白昼堂々と女を襲うようなゲスの言い分なんざ聞く耳持たねえな。
この俺が情けをかけて忠告してやっていると部をわきまえずに切り立つか。弱い犬ほどよく吠えるとはよく言ったものだ。
ここは俺らの領分だ。オタクを並べてないでとっとと帰りやがれ。
He looked away from the captains as if entirely uninterested in them, and flashed me a cold gaze.
雪村千鶴、コードはこちら側にいる。意味はわかる。
Well, at least we know where Dad is now.
お前の父は幕府を見限ったということだ。
What? His mysterious smile gave me nothing in the way of explanation.
お前がここにいる意味は何だ。よく考
えること。Then, with a slow rippling motion, like a shadow sliding on water, he turned his back on us and vanished. What was happening? What were demons, and why had they come after me? My father was with them? Did that mean he was working with national imperialists? The inside of my head was a swirling mass of questions. And the one thing that most concerned me was... Okay, what does most concern me? The demons in general? Their interest in me? My father? Or what he means by turning humans into demons? What is the thing that is most concerning to me right now? Why on earth are they after me? Yeah, pretty sure that's the most concerning part. Why were Kazama and his comrades after me? Isn't the last thing the least concerning? Yeah, well... I guess the concerning part is, what do you mean we're turning them into demons? But I mean, it's relatively obvious, I suppose. He'd said that I had the blood of a demon, but...
でもさ、なんであいつってお前のことを狙ってたんだろうな。
何言ってやがんだよ。男が女を狙う理由なんざ一つしかねえだろうが。
え、何
大方、こいつに一目惚れでもしたんだろ
う。What? His response was surprising to say the least.
なんだ？そんなに意外か？そんななりをしててもわかるやつにはわかるもんだぜ。あの鬼野郎もその一人なんだろうよ。
No, he's not in... That's not the reason.
そう思ってるのは案外お前だけかもな。
What are you even saying? My voice faded into a pathetic whimper.
佐野さんってどうして何でもかんでも色ごとに持っていくんだよ。つうかどさくさに紛れてこいつを口説くのはやめてくんね。
別に色ごとに結びつけたつもりはねえがな。思ったままを言っただけだぜ。
これだよ。
Wasn't sure what to say, but my face started to feel hot all of a sudden.
無駄口はそこまでだ。お前ら、さっさと仕事に戻れ。 つうか、他の大使の目につく場所で雪村の性別について話すんじゃね
え。へいへい、わかってるって。
おっと、結構時間経ってた。お前一人で大丈夫か？
Yeah, I'm almost done, so I'll be fine. I looked up at the sky. The sun was setting. I needed to hurry up and finish my cleaning.
元気出せよ、千鶴。
Harada gave me a friendly clap on the shoulder. Oh. Suddenly, my heart felt a little lighter, and my mind a little less troubled. All thanks to Harada. Thank you. I rolled up my sleeves and took a firm grip on my broom. I need some more water. I will be right back. And I'm back. From then on, Dr. Matsumoto visited the compound regularly to check up on the men of the Shinsengumi. And so, ever since Senan had become the leader of the Furies, the group was named the Fury Corps. A secret division comprised of men who have become Furies. Still, I couldn't help but wonder, was it really all right to continue researching the Furies? My heart was heavy with worry. Was my father really involved with the National Imperialist Army? If so, why? (1866) September. So we're over a year on. After the dust cleared, following the Hamaguri Rebellion, the Choshu domain had been declared enemies of the court, and the shogun had gathered other domains to launch a military campaign. Choshu Expedition, a military campaign led by the Tokugawa shogunates against the Choshu, who attacked the imperial palace and became enemies of the court after the Hamaguri Rebellion. This became known as the First Choshu Expedition. Following this, the Choshu domain had stayed quiet for some time. Their obedience was short-lived, however, and before long their disrespect for the shogun had become impossible to ignore. In order to investigate further, the shogunate decided to send an envoy to the Choshu domain. Kondo was asked to accompany the envoy sent to the Choshu to investigate their behavior. However, the Choshu domain had refused to meet with the envoy and steadfastly ignored the order to pledge allegiance. To respectfully submit to the emperor's orders to reaffirm one's loyalty. Exasperated with their insubordination, the shogunate thus ordered the Second Choshu Expedition. However, the war was a costly one, exhausting both the resources and the men from all over the domains, whose morale began to falter. To add to the fire, Shogun Iemochi's passing shook Japan, and some domains even withdrew from the battle. The Second Choshu Expedition had thus ended in a major loss for the shogunate troops. September 1866. The Tokugawa shogunate, a pillar which stood strong for 260 years, was beginning to falter. One day, I was accompanying Saito on his rounds. It sure has been hot lately. I'd gotten accustomed to the city of Kyoto, but I just couldn't get used to the humid heat. I always wondered. Even in midsummer, Saito always wore his full uniform. Wasn't he hot? He observed the city of Kyoto, gaze unfaltering and guard up at all times.
ひとまずあそこの店から回ることにするか。雪村、あんたは店の前で待っている。共に来ても手持ち無沙汰だろう。
All right. He gave me a short nod and stepped into the shop with his men.
新選組だ。先日、浪人風の男が出入りしていたという噂を耳にした。戦議させてもらう。
I'd been waiting for Saito and his division for a few minutes when I noticed a commotion nearby. So-called patriots again, huh? A number of rather unpleasant-looking Ronin were making their way in my general direction. By patriots, they meant they were in support of the Emperor. There were many who called themselves that, but in reality used it as a mere pretext to steal and murder. Dealing with such people was part of the Shinsengumi's job. The Ronin tossed a poorly aimed kick at a child playing in the street. What should I do? It seemed like the warriors were preoccupied with their investigation in the store. If so, then just as I was about to stop the Ronin.
やめなさいよ、みっともない。
あ？なんだてめえは。たかが女が俺たち勤王の志士に意見するってのか。
そのたかが女に意見されることをみっともないと思いなさいよ。今日の人がどれだけ迷惑してるのかわからないの？
乗れ。
The man's obviously short fuse had been lit. He made a grab for the girl. I had to do something. Stop! I moved without thinking and positioned myself in front of the girl to protect her.
なんだお前は。その女の知り合いか。
No, I don't.
知り合いじゃねえんならすっ込んでろ!
He roared at me and my legs suddenly felt weak. But I was committed. I couldn't run now. If you truly love your country as you say, then why do you abuse women and children? A samurai should protect the common people.
なんだと。そうだそうだ、いいぞお兄ちゃん。獅子気取りの不定老師め、今日からさっさと出ていけ。
Something about my speech must have struck a chord with the crowd. Their cheers helped me stand a little stronger.
くっそ、バカにしやがって。
With a rough metallic hiss, the Ronin drew his sword. I could try to dodge, but if I did, he might hit the girl behind me. I reached for my sword. Ah! I think Saito's done with what he was doing. A strangled, gargled cry erupted from the Ronin. Huh? Yep. Slowly, carefully, I opened my eyes.
安心しろ。峰打ちだ。
Saito! Whacked him over the head with the back of his sword. The sound.
そいつを屯所に連れて行け。長州の残党かもしれん。
はい。
Working quickly, Saito's men set to work binding the Ronin for transport. Saito's cold eyes fell on me.
何故俺を呼ばなかった。万が一のことがあったらどうするつもりだったのだ。
I'm sorry. I thought she might get hurt, so I just moved.
怪我なんてしないわよ。まったくもう無茶しちゃって。
Scolding from Saito was expected, but I hadn't thought that the lady would contribute as well. I'm sorry I made you worry. I gave her a short bow, to which she blinked as if suddenly remembering something.
あ、でも私あなたに助けてもらったのよね。まだお礼を言ってなかったわ。ありがとう。
Oh, well, I didn't do anything. It was Saito and his men who made the actual arrest.
別に謙遜なんてしなくていいのに。見て見ぬふりをするよりはずっと立派だったんだから。これも何かの縁だし、女の子同士仲良くしましょうね。
Well, she's got a brain. She has worked out that we are not a young boy. Saito glanced from her to me, and an expression flashed across his face that I couldn't quite place.
見る者が見ればわかることだ。動揺する。
あら、もしかして内緒だったの？まずかったかしら。
Well, I wasn't entirely sure how to respond. She seemed to sense my confusion and gracefully moved on.
ところで、まだお名前を聞いてなかったわね。これも何かの縁ですもの。教えてくれるかしら。
Well, this is...
そちらの方は斉藤さんよね。新選組は有名だもの。知ってるわ。で、あなたの名前は？
My name is Chizuru Yukimura. It's nice to meet you.
雪村。
Well, she recognizes that name. Her eyes grew wide as if she was surprised, and she stared intently at me.
あなた、雪村って姓なの？生まれは東国？
Yes, I was. I was living in Edo, but I had some business in Kyoto, so I moved here. She was acting a little strange, so I tried to speak to her, and she laughed and looked up.
ごめんなさい、なんでもないの。知り合いと同じ姓だったから。雪村ってすごく綺麗な名字ね。
You think so? Thank you.
よろしくね、千鶴ちゃん。私のことはセンって呼んで。
Ms. Sen, nice to meet you. Sen, a young woman who was rescued by the protagonist from belligerent Ronin in Kyoto. And we take a note here that there isn't a 1 after this, so it seems we will not be learning any more about her later.
なんか水臭いわね。見たところ同い年ぐらいだし、そんなにかしこまらなくていいわよ。
So just Sen, then?
まあいいわ。そう呼んでちょうだい。じゃあまた会いましょうね、千鶴ちゃん。
Yeah, it was noted that our surname is in fact demonic. So I have questions. She gave my hand a gentle squeeze, then turned and left, her kimono flapping behind her. Our encounter was over before I'd had a chance to grasp what was even happening. Saito was eyeing Sen as she walked off, and eventually he turned to me.
あの娘、あんたの姓が気にかかっている様子だったな。
I know. She did say it was the same as her acquaintances. Well, I guess Yukimura isn't an uncommon name either. Chizuru is just like, well, I guess it's just a coincidence she knows someone with the same last name. Oh well. It seemed like Saito was concerned with her reaction to my name, and he was deep in thought.
予定からだいぶ遅れてしまった。そろそろ行くことにするか。
Oh, yes. And so we continued on our rounds, trying to withstand the scorching heat. The heat wave ended up lasting several days. On one such day,
雪村先輩、お茶はこんな感じでいいんでしょうか?
Oh, it may be better to make it lukewarm. It's still quite hot today, you know?
なるほど。さすがです。
This young man was Kazue Soma. He joined the Shinsengumi just before summer began. He was a very serious and well-mannered person. He had met the Shinsengumi around the time I'd first arrived in Kyoto, and crossed paths with them during one of their rounds. Shortly after, Kondo had met Soma when he visited Choshu with the envoy, and invited him to join the Shinsengumi. Now, he was currently training as Kondo's page. Ah, which is why he's asking us for advice, given that we are Hijikata's page. Very big quotations around that one. I ended up showing him the ropes, being the more experienced one. I really respected how much effort he put into his work, and he kept spirits high.
じゃあ水で薄めりゃいいんじゃないか?
This is a new guy. Yes, officially and unofficially a member. Yeah, effectively never actually officially became a member, but I've been around long enough that I might as well be. But if you do that, you'll dilute the tea and weaken the flavor.
そうか。なあ、相馬、どうすりゃいいんだ?
井戸水で冷やしてみるのはどうだ?
おお、そいつはいいな。やってみようぜ。
This energetic young man was Rizaburo Nomura. He had joined the Shinsengumi around the same time as Soma, and because of their closeness in age, Nomura also became Kondo's page in training. Ah, Kondo got 2 pages. As for him, he joined because he greatly admired the Shinsengumi. That left me to teach them all about all of the duties and responsibilities of a page. It was harder than I thought. The tea doesn't have to be completely cold, just a little cooler to offset the hot weather. So first, prepare some warm water rather than boiling, then try brewing it. That way it won't weaken the flavor.
おお、すげえ。なるほどな。先輩小姓は伊達じゃないぜ。
本当に勉強になります。
Well, as for the tea, I'll pour some and take it to them, so you two...
俺たちは何ですか? 何でもやりますよ。
It appears we have obtained subordinates.
何でも言ってください。
よーし、お前らは今から俺と剣術稽古だ。どうした？やりたくないのか？
はい、お願いします。
いやー、俺はちょっと仕事が。
おいおい、新人が遠慮なんかするなよ。
野村、諦めろ。これも立派な大使になるための試練だ。
試練っていうか、あれはしごきだろ。
Turn into dogs. I mean, I was actually going to say subordinates or possibly puppies.
そんじゃあ、ちょっくら二人を借りていくぜ。
I know who you meant, Drag. Don't worry. Oh, all right. Please take care of them. Soma gulped deeply, looking quite nervous. Namora, on the other hand, looked ready to cry as Nagakura dragged both of them off. I wished the two of them the best of luck. Here is some parched barley tea, Kondo. It should help lower the body's temperature.
ありがとう。雪村くんの入れてくれたお茶は飲みやすくてちょうどいいな。
Thank you. He was deep in thought, arms crossed and stern. Lord Iemochi's death had cast a shadow of uncertainty over us. Kondo especially was having a difficult time. Perhaps it was best if I simply left him alone. I turned and had already begun to walk away when he spoke.
今、掃除を松本先生に見せてるんだ。
Yep, Soji, who is still sick. His coughing had grown more violent and more frequent lately. What did he say?
まだなんとも。重病でなければいいのだが。
You hope it's nothing serious. Dude's been coughing for over a year, Kondo. There is something wrong.
もし掃除の身に何かあったら、あの人に申し訳が立たんからな。
Huh?
今日に来る前、掃除の姉のミツさんからくれぐれもよろしく頼むと言われていてな。
Mitsu, Soji Okita's older sister. Oh, Okita has an older sister?
両親を早くに亡くしているから、ミツさんが親代わりとなって掃除を育てたんだよ。
I see. Okita seems to have been through a lot.
あいつは素直で前向きだからな。苦労したとは思っていないだろう
あの根性曲がりを相手にそんなことを言えるのは日野本博士といえどあんたぐらいだと思うぜ。
Oh, Hijikata.
お、トシ、どうしたんだ？一緒に麦湯でも飲むか？
いや、麦湯は別にいらねえが、三条大橋に建てられてる生殺のことを知ってるか？
Sanjo Ohashi. A bridge over the Kamo River at Sanjo Street in Kyoto. It is the last stop on the Tokaido and Nakasendo roads, two of the 5 routes of Edo. Notice board. A board to notify the public of established laws regarding specific people or affairs.
ああ、知っているとも。長州の罪状を記した札のことだの。
ああ、あの生殺を引き抜いて鴨川に捨てたバカがいるらしい。
無論その話は聞いている。だがその生殺は後日立て直されたんじゃなかったのか？
Did they throw it in the river again?
そいつがまた引き抜かれちまったそうだ。そろそろ俺たちに声がかかるんじゃねえか。
以前札が引き抜かれたのは確か夜中だったな。であれば三男君の羅刹体を使ったらどうだ？
羅刹体か。
何か引っかかることでもあるのか？
あいつらは確かによく働いてくれるがやりすぎなんだよ。どんな役目につけても関わったものを全て皆殺しにしてきちまう。
Yeah, that's certainly a downside.
しかもそれだけじゃ飽き足らねえ。元の形をとどめねえくらい死体をバラバラに切り刻んだりしやがる。
Well, if they do that this time, at least there's a river to throw them in.
新生 戦組の仕業だと気づかれねえようにするためとはいえ、ありゃいくらなんでもやりすぎだ。新選組は人殺し集団じゃねえ。死体で遊ぶのはやめろといくら諌めても治らねえ。あれじゃ辻切り連中と変わらねえ。
What a shiver snaked down my spine as he spoke. I remembered with terrifying clarity what I'd seen when I first arrived. They'd behaved as if possessed by evil spirits, their swords mercilessly hacking away at dead men. It hadn't been hatred or fear that drove them, but some sort of twisted amusement. I didn't think I'd ever forget the mad smiles each had worn.
いくつか手を考えてみるか。
そうだな。細かいことは都市に任せるよ。ところで、この間聞いたところによると、将軍後見職の一橋慶喜公がだな。
Guardian of the Shogun, a position created during the Bakumatsu period to assist whoever held the office of shogun. Yoshinobu Hitotsubashi. Born into the Mito Tokugawa clan, he was adopted into the Hitoshibashi house to increase his chances to be 15th shogun. He held the position of guardian prior to becoming shogun.
あの人か。家康公の再来なんて言われてるそうだが。確かに頭はいいのかもしれねえが。
Before long, they'd started to discuss politics I didn't understand, and I politely excused myself. I thought back on what Hijikata had said. It was true Sennan had been acting strange, and the Fury Corps had been getting more and more violent. And there was a lot on my mind, but what worried me the most was... Okay, what worried me the most was it the notice board that we may have to go and protect, the Furies, or was it that girl Sen? I don't know which one of these is gonna lead us to an encounter with who we want to see. Two very serious topics in a random third person. I get the feeling that if the thing we are worried about the most is Sen, that probably leads us towards Saito, because Saito was with us when we met Sen. If what worries me the most is the Furies, that might lead towards Sennan. So I'm considering just the notice board. Yeah. Just as Hijikata predicted, a few days later, the order came down for the Shinsengumi to guard the notice board. All divisions not on regular patrol rounds were directed to take turns on guard duty. The first day was quiet, and the men on duty spent most of it simply standing around.
Oi, oi. いくらなんでもだらけすぎだろ。ちゃんとしろよ、ちゃんと。
そんなこと言われてもよ。島原で夜明かしするんならともかく、夜を徹して見張りとなると身が入らねえこと入らねえこと。さすがに今日こそは何か起きてくれねえとな。今夜の当番は佐野、お前の組だろ。
そうだったな。ま、役目は果たすさ。
Just then... Oh, hello, Ito. Hello to you too, Miki.
あら、お三方。もしかしてこの部屋使ってらっしゃるのかしら？
Ito and Miki entered the room, followed by a number of warriors from the Ito faction.
なんだゾロゾロと連れ立って。何か用でもあるんですか？
これから新論を題材に同志諸君と議論をしようと思っているのだけど。
New Theses. A book written by Seishisai Aizawa, a thinker from Mito. It contained National Imperialist Party theory.
よろしければ皆さん方もご一緒にいかがかしら？
兄貴も嫌味だな。新論どころか四書五経すらまともに読んでないような奴らが議論なんてできるはずないだろう。
I think he appears to be accusing our friends of not reading books. 4 books and 5 classics. Literature containing the core values and most important aspects of Confucianism.
ああ、この子ったらなんてことを言うのかしら。お気を悪くなさらないでね、お三方。同志諸君、ここはもう使ってらっしゃるようですから、別の部屋に行くことにしましょう。
Ito and his men went back out into the hallway and disappeared. As soon as they were out of sight, Nagakura's face warped.
ったく、相変わらず嫌味な連中だぜ。
仲間を集めてコソコソしやがって。実際は何を議論してるんだか分かったもんじゃね
えな。Yep, suspicious.
近藤さんも平助も何を考えてあんな奴らを引っ張ってきたんだか。
It wasn't just Nagakura and Harada who didn't seem to like Ito much. I'd heard that plenty of the other captains and even some of the soldiers were against him. Ito must have picked up on this, but seemed unbothered and devoted his time to increasing his power base within the Shinsengumi. After a moment, another person made their appearance. Oh, hello, Takeda.
先ほど伊藤さんたちがここへ来たはずだが。
Yes, they were just here. They went off to another room to have some kind of discussion?
別室だと。会合を開く際は一声かけてくださいと言ってあったのに。
So you're part of that faction as well, are you?
もしや私を参加させぬために。
Or trying to be. Takeda muttered to himself and he went out of the common room.
なんだありゃ。
伊藤さんの腰巾着をしようと思ったが相手にされてねってとこだろう。武田さんも最近体内に居場所がねえみたいだしな。
Harada said his piece, then slowly got to his feet.
さてと、そろそろ頃合いだな。行ってくるとするか。
Oh,
なんだ？もしかしてお前もついてくるつもりか？やめとけ。お前は鬼連中から狙われてんだろ。夜の巡察には連れて行けねえよ。
Hooray, we can't go out at night now. Thank you, demons. Yes, I suppose you're right. Sitting around all day was starting to make my teeth ache. I wanted to help somehow, but Harada was right. Oop, wrong button. If I went with him, I'd just end up getting in the way. Well, please be careful, Harada.
おう、わかってるって。
night, they struck. Or tried to. 8 men from the Tosa domain challenged Harada and his division by trying to tear down the notice board. Tosa domain. A domain ruled by the outer daimyo Yamauchi. The domain supported imperial unification, but many ronin of the Tosa region were national imperialists. The fighting was furious but short. Harada managed to capture some of the perpetrators, though some of his captives later managed to escape. Harada and his division were honoured by the Aizu domain for their service to the shogunate and received a generous reward. Everyone seemed to be confused at how Harada could have let them escape. When he was asked about it, he simply replied, "It was too dark to get a good look," and said no more. Following the incident, several days passed by. I accompanied the captains to a meal at Sumi, a restaurant located in Shimabara, the Kyoto red light district, where high-ranking courtesans can be hired for entertainment.
Yeah, 佐野、お前は本当によくやった。まさか報奨金でみんなにご馳走したいなんて言ってくれるとはな。
新八さん、褒めるならそこじゃなくて生殺を守りきったってところじゃない？
いや、そこはもちろん褒めるけどな。それ以上にここの感情を佐野が持ってくれるってことに感激して涙がちょちょぎれそうで。みんな、今夜は佐野のおごりだ。目いっぱい飲んで日頃の憂さを晴らしてくれ。
てめえ、人の金だと思って。
佐野さん、ありがとうよ。今日は感情を気にせず好きなだけ飲ませてもらうからな。
みんながみんなお酒を飲めるわけじゃないんだけどね。
そう言わずに、せっかく来たんだからうまいものをたんと食っとけ。
そうですよね。土方さんも遠慮せずにたくさん飲んでくださいね。
Well, it sounds an awful lot like Okutera is on some kind of medication that means he's not allowed to drink alcohol.
いや、俺は酒は。
へえ、まさか泣く子も黙る新選組副長ともあろう方が飲めないなんて言いませんよね。
てめえ、知ってて言ってやがるだろう。わざとらしいんだよ。
I wasn't sure if it was all right of me, as a woman, to be joining them. Are we allowed to drink? Good question. But it was an incredibly rare opportunity for me to visit Shimabara. I would enjoy the festivities while I was here.
おおきにお頼申します。
Geigi, in a beautiful kimono, stepped through to greet us with a smile that was both dazzling and demure. Geigi, a woman who works with clientele for private entertainment services. She uses cultural dances or plays musical instruments for her customers, also known as a geisha or geiko. Her skin was as white as porcelain, highlighted with soft red blush. Her lips looked soft and full, and her hair shone in the light like yards of fine silk. For a moment, I stared in awe of her beauty, my own gender forgotten. Her eyes softened as she smiled, and it was like watching a flower bloom.
今晩お相手させていただきます。君菊どす。
Kimigiku. Well, we'll apparently be learning more about her later. An oiran, courtesan of the Tenjin, second highest rank, in the Shimabara red light district of Kyoto. So, an expensive courtesan.
すぐにお料理もできますよって、存分に楽しんでいってください。
Once the food had arrived, the party truly began.
やっぱ高い酒は違うな。喉がキューッとするよ、キューッと。スケ、お前さっきから飯も食わずに飲んでばっかじゃねえか。
Yeah, Heisuke, you should really put some food in that stomach, otherwise you're gonna get drunk off way faster than you intended to.
すきっ腹で飲むと酔いが回るのが早いぞ。いや、豚書じゃこんな高い酒飲めねえし、飯で腹いっぱいにしちまうのがもったいなくてさ。
Well, he's gonna be completely out of it in a bit then.
貧乏くせえセリフだな。今日ぐらいは気にしないで飲んでいけよ。
さすが気ずっ腹、いやいや太っ腹。千鶴ちゃん、楽しんでるか？お、全然飲んでねえじゃねえか。
Oh, I can't drink, so I'm just enjoying the food.
お、そうだったっけ？そんじゃ料理をたらふく食っとけよ。せっかく来たんだから楽しんでいかねえと損だぞ。
Thank you. Still, it was the first time I'd ever eaten anything this expensive. Although, to be honest, I couldn't taste much of a difference.
新選組の土方藩って鬼のような方と聞いてましたけど、なんや役者みたいなええ男ですな。
よく言われる。
Himigiku and Hijikata chatted easily while she poured him sake, looking almost too beautiful to be real. This was what one might call a well-matched couple. They looked like they'd stepped out of a painting.
にしても立て札を守っただけでこんだけの報奨金が出るんなら、全員捕まえてたらどれだけの大金がもらえてたんだろうな。なあ佐野、どうして逃がしちまったんだ？8人くらいならなんとかできねえ数じゃねえだろう。わあ、俺もそれが不思議だったんだ。敵を絶対に逃がさないよう取り囲んでたんだろ。一旦捕まえたやつもいたらしいのに、本当は何があったんだよ。
Narada fell silent, his face slipping into a frown. He stayed that way for a moment or two. Then, inexplicably, he looked at me.
千鶴、お前あの晩どこかに出かけなかったか？
I did correctly remember what happened. What? I hesitated, unsure of what he was getting at. No, I didn't go anywhere. Why?
本当にあの夜は外に出てねえんだな。
Yes, I'm sure. I've never left the compound alone, ever.
おい、どうしたんだ？
It sounds like Sano may have met someone who looks suspiciously like Chizuru. Where have we met someone like that before?
見間違いであってくれりゃいいんだが、あの晩は月も出てなくて暗かったからな。だが、あれだけ近くで見たんだ。絶対に間違うはずがねえ。
Harada? What are you talking about?
いや、実はだな。立て札を引っこ抜こうとした土佐藩士を取り囲んだ時、 お前によく似た顔の女に邪魔されて囲みを破られちまったんだ。
What? The whole room went silent. Harada just spoke above a whisper, but each of us could hear him perfectly. A girl who looked just like me?
まあそんな時もある。何にせよ今日は佐野のおごりだ。朝まで飲もうぜ。
賛成。今日は限界に挑戦してやるぜ。
It would appear that Heisuke has already forgotten that we did in fact meet a girl who looked just like me. In just a few minutes, Heisuke and Nagakura had the party back in full swing. I couldn't get my mind off what Harada had said. Then, what had he seen? I felt complicated or strange. Strange. It was such a strange feeling. What would you call something like this after all? A ghost? No, I was still alive. Was it some sort of astral projection then? Well, it sounds like Chizuru has also forgotten meeting someone who looked like her mirror image. Whatever it was, there was something out there that looked just like me, causing trouble. It was depressing.
さっきは悪かったな。おかしなこと言っちまって。別にお前を疑ってるわけじゃねえんだ。俺たちの邪魔をしてもお前が得することなんて何もねえはずだしな。
No, it's not like that. I'm fine. Please don't worry about me. Admittedly, it was like over a year ago that we met Kaoru. So... and only the once. I know for sure that I was at the temple that night. Besides, I don't think I could even get to Senju Ohashi by myself. Hey, Sano points.
まだ道順を覚えてねえのか。結構順札にも出てるんだろう。
Well, a long time, yes, but all of the streets look the same and there aren't any landmarks to help me out. You don't think it's hard to find your way around Kyoto?
お前らしいっちゃお前らしいかもしれねえけど。今日に来て3年になるんだし、そろそろ慣れてもいい頃じゃねえか。
I mean, Sano, to be fair, for like the first year of that, she wasn't actually allowed out. You think so? Just then, a thought struck me. Oh, Heisuke.
なんだ?
Ah, a memory has occurred. Do you think maybe the girl Harada's talking about is the one we met? You remember? Her name was Kaoru. We met her when we were out on patrol with Okita.
あ、そういえば。
He smacked his leg as if he remembered.
でも掃除は似てるって言ってたけど、俺はそうでもないと思ったけどな。
Oh. He was right. In fact, Okita had teased him mercilessly about it. Perhaps it didn't mean what I suspected it did. I was deep in thought when Harada spoke up.
なんだ? もしかして知り合いなのか?
前に巡察の最中に会った女の子がいてさ。その子がこいつにそっくりだって掃除が言ってたんだ。俺 はそんなに似てなかったと思うんだけど。なんせ向こうはお嬢さん姿だったし。
Heisuke. Heisuke's like, they didn't look alike at all. That girl was dressed as a girl. That's not the point here. And that was true too. I'd been disguised as a man, but Kaoru was been wearing a woman's kimono. Did Heisuke only think we didn't look alike because of how we'd been dressed?
その女のことはよくわからんが、とりあえず平助に女を見る目がねえってことはよくわかったぜ。
は？なんでそうなるんだよ。
Rada shot back a clever retort, and then they were off, bickering playfully back and forth. I watched them, but my mind was elsewhere. Perhaps my face and Kaoru's did look similar, or even the same. But if it had been her, then what was her purpose in impeding Harada? The notice board, the Shinsengumi... Anyone who lived in Kyoto would have known about them. I felt Harada's hand on my shoulder.
まあ、この世には似た顔をした人間が3人はいるって言うしな。
They do in fact say that. What's the... Yeah. Like you've got 2 doppelgangers in the world. I feel like there's a different word because isn't doppelganger just 2?
その女の仕業だって決めつけるのはちょっと早計だぜ。
He had a point. To all appearances, she was just a normal girl. I couldn't imagine someone like her deciding to mess with the Shinsengumi and then just disappear into the night.
雪村、その話詳しく聞かせてくれ。
Oh, well... While we were out on patrol a while ago, we met a girl named Kaoru. She looked a lot like me. Saito listened quietly, but looked up into my eyes when I finished, his face tense.
偶然とは思えん。一度その者に話を聞いてみる価値はありそうだな。
But she didn't look like someone who would want to harm the Shinsengumi. You met her for like 5 minutes, just group.
ごく普通の町娘を装うことなどいくらでもできる。その女子と会ったのは本当に初めてなのか。
Yes. Okuta thought she looked just like me. Although Heisuke didn't agree.
今日に親戚はいないのか。
Saito's like, are you sure you're not related to this girl who looks just like you? Good question.
同じ顔の人間などそうめったにいるものではない。
No, I don't have any. My father never told me I had any either. If I had relatives here, I think my father would have told me to contact them, not Dr. Matsumoto.
なるほど。
He didn't look entirely convinced, but apparently I'd said enough because he asked me no more questions. Harada slapped his knee, breaking the tension.
さてと、いい感じに酒も回ってきたことだし、これのあれをやらせてもらうぜ。
お、来た来た、さすが園、待ってました。
ほら、目かっぴらいてしっかり見とけ。
Now that they're plenty drunk, it's topless men time again. For the second time this stream.
この腹はな、そんじょそこらの腹じゃねえ。刃物の味を知ってるんだぜ。
The now quite drunk Harada pulled open his shirt with a lopsided grin, pointing at the wide scar across his belly. The Oiran feigned polite interest.
なに威張ってやがんだ。切腹の作法も知らないゲス野郎って煽られて短気起こしててめえで詰めただけじゃねえか。
足りめえよ。男たる者面目をぶっ潰されて黙ってられるか。
佐野さん豪気だよな。もしそのまま死んじまってたらどうするつもりだったんだ。
そらそん時に考える。
あのさ、死んじまってたらそもそも考えられねえんじゃね。
んじゃ考えるのをやめてそのまま死んでやるよ。武士道とは死ぬことと見つけたりなんてな。
そんじゃその名誉をたたえてっと。
From out of nowhere, Nagakura produced a brush and its accompanying ink and began to draw on Harada's stomach.
あ、てめえ何しやがる。
いや、こんだけ見事な刀傷なんだ。名前でもつけて可愛がってやろうぜ。もしかしたらそのうち喋り始めるかもしれねえぞ。
バカ野郎、俺の傷は人面素かっつの。
Jinmenso, a monster in traditional Japanese folklore. A tumor-like growth that erupts from a wound and has a human face. Well, that's terrifying.
佐野さんやばいって。佐野さんが喋るたびにあんとこにある口がピクピク動いて。
Apparently, this was hilarious to Heisuke, who cackled uncontrollably, hands wrapped around his stomach and face red with mirth. Oh, Harada. The three of them cavorted and tumbled around the room like children, and in spite of myself, I began to laugh. The party lasted until morning, or so I heard. I'd left before it ended, for reasons of my own, and I heard plenty about it later. There was a lot for me to worry about, not the least of which was my doppelganger. But I found it impossible to feel sorry for myself amidst all that good cheer. (1866) December. Which is where we'll be leaving off for today. So, thank you very much for coming. It's been fun. We have learned so much. Demons, apparently. So, if you're new here and you've enjoyed your time, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can also follow me on social media, which is linked in the description box. I've completely lost where I was. The streaming schedule for the channel gets posted both over there on social media and over here on YouTube in the post tab of the channel. The next scheduled stream is Wednesday, 7 PM for some more Pokemon Legends CA. So I hope to see you then, or another time. Once again, thank you very much for coming, and this is Kalla signing out. See ya! Bye bye!